quit, put me on, 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 quit, put me on.
Leif Vollebekk is a talented songwriter, singer, and multi-instrumentalist based in Montreal, Quebec. Originally from just outside of Ottawa, Vollebekk has released 3 excellent records, including 2017's Twin Solitude, which is out now via Secret City Records, and was a shortlist nominee for the 2017 Polaris Music Prize. Leif and I recently connected for an extensive conversation about each and every song on Twin Solitude, which took us to some really unexpected and fascinating places. Sponsored by Pizza Trocadero, The Bookshelf, Planet Bean Coffee, and Granddad's Donuts, this is Leif Vollebekk on the 344th episode of Creative Control with your host, me, Vish Khanna.
And slip into the ether. Don't wanna tell anybody what to do. Ain't the one to give advice to you, the kind I know you won't listen to. I know, because I never listened either.
Hi, Leif. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm really well. Where are you?
I'm on my couch in my apartment in Montreal. I'm about to go to Denver, Colorado tomorrow.
Oh, you're going away on tour, are you?
Yeah. It's a weird tour. We're doing I'm playing solo in Denver tomorrow with this guy Andrew Bird.
Oh, I know Andrew. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, him. We're doing some radio show on NPR or something.
Oh, well, that sounds like a big deal.
I think so. I don't know anything, but it seems like it'll be fun, and the show is really top notch, and yeah, it's gonna be good. I think.
Well, congratulations on that.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, but I'm really excited because 2 days later I go to Halifax, and I'm gonna play a little festival there and see my brother. So it'll be cool.
Yeah, where I always think of you as being a guy from Montreal. Where are you from?
I'm from Ottawa, 2 hours the other way. Yeah.
2 hours the other way? What does that even mean? Other way of what?
The other way of the coast.
Oh, the other way of Halifax. You're
yeah.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
And
I hope.
That's where you grew up?
I grew up in Ottawa, yeah. Nepean. Sir John A. McNepean, his namesake.
Oh, I see. I feel like John A. has been in the news lately, and people aren't happy with what he did because he was a terrible person.
Oh my God, it's so complicated. People. I think people were also generally evil throughout all of history.
Yes, it's true.
To the present day.
Yeah, it's true. There's a lot of evil. Yeah, and now we're.
Yeah, and now we're like, oh shoot, everybody effed up.
Well, I think it's important to recognize evil from the past, but it does seem like also a distraction from what we could be doing.
Wow, this is all true.
Yeah, and I don't want to take us down this road too far, but you mentioned you're from Nepean, and
yeah, man. I don't know what is it Sir John A. Nepean? Am I just thinking of MacDonald? I think they were all named John. I think in the 1800s.
Oh, is this not Sir John A. MacDonald you were referring to? There's a different. His name, Sir John A. Nepean?
No. Now I don't remember.
Okay, I thought
maybe.
No,
I don't know. This is just me. I was totally reading an article on CBC about John A. MacDonald, so maybe I'm just like, no, I think his name was. That would make no sense that it's John. I'm going to look it up right now.
I'm looking it up I'm looking it up too because this makes no sense to me. You look it up and we'll figure it out. But I feel like there's no way that his name was.
His name is Evan. Evan Nepean? No.
Is Sir John A. MacDonald from Nepean?
No, it's got nothing to do with anything.
Oh, you just got the wrong guy.
I just went Sir John A. Nepean because there's a school Sir John A. MacDonald in Nepean.
Oh, so okay.
By the way, I didn't study history in university. So Evan, it's just Evan Nepean. That doesn't Sir Evan Nepean. He was a sir though.
Oh, he was a sir. Oh, well, that makes more sense then. Sort of.
It doesn't
maybe.
make much.
Not really.
Does it?
No. But it's hard to be on top of everything when you're a traveling guy like you.
You know what? Let's just chalk it up to me being plain old stupid.
No, I don't think you're stupid. I just you got confused. You conflated a bunch of things. Your life in Ottawa was good, or in Nepean, I should say.
Yeah, I mean, it's good. There's nothing like the allure of Montreal, the French seductress. For an Ottawa boy.
Yeah. So when did you relocate to Montreal?
I think I was about 21, 20 or something. It took me a while. Took me a while to get around to it. But yeah.
How long ago was that?
How old I am? I'm 31, so it was like 10 years ago.
So you've been in Montreal 10 years.
Yeah, maybe less. I also don't know much about myself. I think maybe it's been 8 years. I think it's been 8 years. No, like 9. Somewhere between, it's either 7 or 9. How about that?
Let me ask you this. When you're filling out your name on a form, do you write Sir John A. Vollebekk? Is that how you write your name?
That is actually how you pronounce my first name.
Sir John A.
John A.
I've been saying Leif. It's actually Sir John A. Vollebekk.
Yeah, with a silent Q. Yeah. That's how you say my name.
Well, the last time I think I saw you in person, we were both in Guelph many years ago. Yes, that's right. You remember this.
I remember.
Yeah, it was a pancake breakfast.
It was.
You thought it was humorous.
It was funny. No, it was good. I remember. I played. There was no stage, and then and it was who was that? It was ma'am. What? It was something man. I know this.
Sir John A. Man? I don't know.
Sir John A. Man. No, not Mothman. Why can't I remember this guy's
guy? Sorry. Yeah, it was Marker Starling.
No, is that what I'm thinking of?
Marker Starling was playing with you, I believe.
Oh, yeah. But what's his... Mantler.
Well, his name... Yeah, he used to go by Mantler, and now... Okay. That's right. Yeah, now it's Marker Starling. Yeah, that's right.
Just it's 8 p.m., but it feels like 4 in the morning.
No, it's fine. No, that was legit. He went by Mantler at the time, but good. He's been on this show subsequently, and the name has changed to Marker Starling.
Okay, amazing.
Yeah.
Also, there's a band called Man, which I don't know.
That's right.
But I could have remembered that name very easily. So.
Right. Well, anyway, that was fun. Yeah, that was many years ago now. I think it was 4 or 5 years ago. I feel like. Yeah. Is that right?
It was at least. Yeah. It feels like another lifetime.
Well, and your music has evolved, I think, quite a bit since I first encountered it, and that maybe is a nice segue into this discussion about your latest record, Twin Solitude, which I believe we're going to break down a little bit here, song by song. But before we get to that, tell me about your mentality going from your previous record to this one, because I understand that there was some fogginess. You were not sure how to proceed, and I'm just curious about how all of that, if that is correct, if that experience informed how you made this record. Yeah,
well, I mean, I kind of just noticed that I was kind of going down a certain road, kind of this like kind of folky, harmonica acoustic guitar road, and like started, internalizing some rules, like all songs must be able to be sung on an acoustic guitar, just solo acoustic and a voice. Mm-hmm. Otherwise, you don't have a song. And even to the point where like if you can't write down the lyrics and it looks like a song and it talks like a song on paper, it's not a song. Like kind of the really heavy, like I don't know,
like a puritanical folk thing.
Yeah, like, and I don't know where I picked it up, but I felt really strongly about it, and I was actually found that it wasn't that much fun.
Well, you called your 2013 album North Americana.
Yeah,
and that is and then if people listen to that record, that's a pretty apt title for what you'd come up with.
Southern, United States. I had a dream I was standing under the Memphis moon with William Blake painting and Crosby crooning, and his father was a sailor.
Maybe I was also trying to like convince people if it wasn't, and I was also trying to figure out, because I was also often called like a folky or like a folk singer, and I didn't really understand because I was like, well, folk songs are like songs that have been around forever, and I don't sing those songs. And then it's like, if it's just the sound of an acoustic guitar is folk, then like, wasn't that acoustic guitar based? And I was just like, what does it all mean? So I was kind of like, no, I'm Americana, like screw it. And like, the band, I don't know, I always thought about the band in terms of like, mostly Canadians, but like because of Levon, they got their American cred too.
Oh, the band. Oh, yes.
The band.
Yeah.
Sorry, the band.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of the band. My 6-year-old son's name is Levon.
Really?
Uh-huh.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
So
I'm a big fan of theirs as well, and I can see the allure. I think you were feeding into the same allure that they fed into of maybe the music of the American South, perhaps, and how that had sort of started to pervade the entire country and continent, frankly.
Yeah, and you just kind of like, but also they did it so well. And with Levon Helm, there was something about him that was just so salt of the earth that was just able to like make that happen. Like, it's kind of weird that Robbie Robertson would write like, Night They Drove Old Dixie Down, and then but somehow it all worked, and it all like came off pretty. I mean, I think it came off as pretty sincere.
Well, and with Ronnie Hawkins, I should say, there was some appropriation going up there because with the band, I think, and they were trying to figure their own sound out, and then, hooking up with Levon, I'm sure it kind of gave them more credibility I think that's what you're trying to say.
I think that's what I wanted to say, but I wouldn't have said it because I needed you to help me out there.
But so it's fair to say that before you started working on Twin Solitude, there was a slight crisis of faith for you in terms of what you were doing musically. Yeah, well, also I found that it was like harder and harder to play. I mean, it's the classic thing where you're like, I don't want to play my songs anymore, and then you write new ones. Like, everybody does that. It's like, that's just how it works, But it was also just like, I found it really hard to play my songs. Like, and I found they weren't fun to play sometimes. And I needed like kind of to be in a certain mood to play them. And I just noticed that I kind of painted myself in a corner. Yeah,
and I thought,
that's what
nobody.
Happens.
Yeah, and I was like, nobody told me to write music like this. Like, nobody, and I didn't. And at one point, I guess I had just told myself to do it. And so I kind of took a step back, and I was like, well, I got to write songs that I want to play. And the other thing that was happening was I was like consciously writing a lot. I'd written like tons and tons of songs, but I was like writing them from like this stupid songwriter brain that I had created. So I would be like, placing a line that sounded good that I'd heard on the subway, like in the song, and like constructing something around it, trying to make a narrative and try to like maybe like write a story, and just kind of, and then and the songs would kind of be dead on the page, and they'd be dead when I sang them. Almost like I try to, like Frankenstein's monster, just kind of like assemble a song, and then, with all the ingredients of a song, and hope that it would like come to life. But really, I just like dismembered, lyrics and put them together. And so I was like, I need to write songs that are going to be natural, and that are going to be me, and that are going to be not so much fun to play, but just easier to play, that come from a more like consolidated real place, which is kind of ridiculous to talk about.
Well, at the same time, it feels like there's less structure to this record. There are hooks, there are choruses, there are turns of phrase that recur, but there is a different narrative voice here, and there's definitely a different tone to the production here that I think as we go, we will delve into these things, I would think, because there's just a lot to unpack, I think, here, and and I should say that I'm very fond of this record.
Thanks.
It's lovely. I put it in the car. I got it's still one of the few labels that will send me a compact disc in the mail, it seems.
Oh, wow. I'll let them know. I'll let them know that it's
Secret City.
appreciated.
Yeah, your label, Secret City, and your publicist will send me the CD, which it comes in handy because sometimes the only time I can, because I have 2 children and I'm busy all the time, yes, I listen to some music on my phone. Yes, I have a turntable, but I like driving. I often drive certainly to Toronto, and it's just fun to put on CDs in the car. I still have an old car. And anyway, I put your record on, and it just right away I felt like I was in a different place, and I like when a record takes me away. And
that's nice.
The playing is lovely, and like I say, we'll get into all of these things. Let's start right now and talk about the first song as best we can.
West London alleyways, San Pedro's valleys haze, works my mind just like a maze. When I see you around, no honey, you are not a kid. You know how to keep it hid, and I know just where you're dead. In those buildings downtown.
What can you tell me about the song Vancouver Time?
Yeah, it was the first one I wrote for the record after the, kind of we were talking about just like being like, okay, I need new songs and I need something different. And I wrote that one just kind of in like 10, 15 minutes. I'm not really sure how long it took, one afternoon. And it just like, I thought I was playing Rebel Rebel, that David Bowie song, and then I was like, no, I'm not. I'm like, wait a little bit. And then, on the guitar. And then I just started writing this melody, and I was like, I was pretty sure it was, someone else's melody because it was very clear to me.
Right.
And so then I was like, well, you know what? Like, just write it down before you start figuring out who you aped. And, like, why don't you criticize yourself a little bit later down the road, buddy? And so, yeah, I wrote it out, and the whole thing, and the whole rhyming scheme and everything, which is slightly different rhyming scheme. I think the rhyming scheme is from that record, Pat Garrett and Billy the Kid, that Bob Dylan record.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, great record, right? That song Billy, like it's like the song, and it's just so nice because it's okay, I can't remember any lyrics. This is one of the things that I'm really bad at. I can't remember. Everyone's name is Sir John A. Like, all my friends. I just call him, hey, John A. And then of course, all Dylan lyrics I don't remember them. But it's he's like, there's guns across the river aiming at you, lambing out something out to get you, and then and it's like it rhymes 3 times, and then by the 4th line. It's AAA, and then by the 4th line, it's a complete release. It doesn't rhyme with anything, and there's kind of like this weight that's completely lifted when the last line is, you're not going A B A B. You're just like all of a sudden like, this is the kind of thing that happens. This is the kind of thing that happens. This is the kind of thing that happens, and like, why not? And all of a sudden, it's just like, well, you didn't rhyme there. Like, you feel like kind of released. And I think I'd been listening to that song a lot, and so that kind of was in there. And anyhow, it was this first song I wrote for the record, and I think it was one of the last ones we recorded. I must have tried it with two or three different arrangements till I figured out that drum beat, which is so simple. And my wonderful drummer Olivier Fairfield was so patient with me as I to explain, no, the kick drum has to be a little bit tucked in.
Yeah.
on the two, a little bit too fast to create this feeling. And that was that was kind of the big thing on the record, was that the kick drum was sitting at the right spot. And I had 2 different drummers on the record, and I feel like we were able to, between the 2 of them, always find the exact right pocket.
Yeah, Olivier's playing on this record is fantastic, just beautiful. And between your bass playing and is it Shazad? Mm-hmm. See the other fellow, Shazad Ismaili?
Shazad, yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah, you've got that's really, I feel like, where a lot of the beyond the lyrical explorations and the technique that you've employed, I think there's a lot of power in the playing. And as we go, I think that's going to become more and more apparent. This is one of the first. It's the first song on the record, and it's one of many that cites a city. I noticed. You're often singing about different places. As we go, we'll talk about some of them, but this one includes Vancouver. It includes Los Angeles. This seems to be a song about a long distance relationship, but also I can't tell if it's in the present and the past. Do you mind talking a little bit about what inspired it lyrically?
I have no idea. Is it a
total like conjured narrative?
No, it's not. I mean, there's just there's like half discomfort and unwillingness to talk about my personal self, and the other half of like not really sure how it kind of came together. There's parts that are, there's one thing that I can say that I find that rings true when I play that song back. I wasn't really sure where it came from, and then what was nice is playing it live. There'd be moments where I go, "Oh, that's what that line is about," and it would just be like, I'm just not. I didn't overthink it when I wrote it, and so stuff kind of came out rather naturally. But it's also like, when you dream, like there'll be like somebody, you're like, "Oh, this is my, I don't know, my teacher from like grade 3," and then you're like, but in the next couple of minutes later, that teacher was actually this person that I saw on a safari program on like PBS, and it was like they shared something in common, and it just, the people kind of morph and change, and it's kind of not really, it's not always so, direct. Well, at least with me, whenever a song is like, this is about this person, it tends to kind of fall apart. But.
Well, it's a very vivid narrative. I can picture everything that's happening. As I mentioned, there's a few. Yeah, as I look through the lyrics here, London, San Pedro. Where else are we here? We got L.A. We got Vancouver, and there's a very I like this because I think, and I don't mean to overflatter you or whatever, but the cleverness of it is kind of subtle.
I'm only leaving 'cause I can't stay. I always loved you and I never paid. I hear that even in L.A. It's Vancouver time. It's Vancouver time.
I like that the last couple lines, I hear that even in L.A. it's Vancouver time. That's just that's a nice turn of phrase.
Oh, thanks. Actually, it was actually, this is so Canadian, but I had written a song called Vancouver. Well, I mean Vancouver time. I'd written like a little ditty when I woke up one day because I was waking up super late and I was embarrassed. But then I was like, I knew I was going to Vancouver soon, and I was like, oh my God, this is gonna be amazing. I'll be waking up at the right time, at a reasonable time when I'm in Vancouver. And when I'd wake up, I would listen to CBC. And I'd I go online and listen to the Vancouver station. So it would, I get all my morning programs that I would have missed otherwise.
Right.
And so I was like, that was kind of in my head. But
well, it's a lovely turn of phrase, and it's like I say, it's a vivid song. So we're going to move on now. We're going to move on to the second song on the record. It's called All Night Sedans.
You was up to something, I was up to nothing. It's bound to happen anyway. Rain in the streetlights, you in the midnights. We could have had it any day. A fire was raging down at the station. It's not ours to worry about, he said. No truth at all, babe, I should have made the call. Half a favor's no favor at all. Wish it could have been another way. Oh, wish it could have been another way.
I had this guy Shazad Ismaili come up from New York to play bass. I had seen him at playing with Vieux Farcature at Pop Montreal, and he was playing like one bass note the entire show, basically different notes, but like each song was kind of just a drone, and he was completely saving the show. The show was kind of falling off the rails a little bit. There was some technical problems, but he was just like, his tone was beautiful, but also his like energy was just like fantastic. And I was like, my songs have two notes, so this guy could totally do it, because he's okay with one. So so I talked to him, and he was like, yeah, sure, I'll play on your record. And so he came up, and we hadn't played together. I only met him like 5 minutes, and so I was hoping that it was going to work. And he basically, that was I think we tried one little tune. Otherwise, it was the second thing we played, like 10 minutes into him showing up. And that was the first take of that song. And he just played this beautiful bass line. Like, just beautiful, I thought. And I was like, oh, this is going to be fun.
Wish you could have been another way. Oh, wish you could have been another way. Oh, wish you could have been another way.
Is he kind of an eccentric guy?
It depends what you mean, but he's definitely like an unusual genius, I would say.
I feel like I spent some time with him once in 2000. Does he live in Brooklyn?
He lives in Brooklyn, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I may have encountered Shahzad, and if it is indeed the same Shahzad, I was road managing the band Royal City, and we were in Brooklyn, and we met a fella named Shahzad, and he looks a lot like Shahzad does now.
Yeah.
And I think it was him. And the one story I heard is that he was playing, one time driving over the Brooklyn Bridge, he was playing the bass and driving his car with his feet.
That sounds like Shahzad.
It does, right? That does seem like something he would do.
That's definitely Shahzad.
Steering with his feet, playing bass with his hands, driving across the Brooklyn Bridge.
The last night of recording, it was about 1 a.m, and he had a flight at like 5 a.m. or something. And he's like, hey, do you mind? Do you know where Laval is? I'm like, yeah. And he's like, will you come with me to Laval to get a Leslie speaker cabinet that I just found on Craigslist? And I was like, okay. So it ended up being like 2 or 3 in the morning. We were at some guy's basement, and this guy had like 5 or 6 Leslie cabinets. he was like figuring out which one he wanted to take back to Brooklyn for his studio.
Yeah, he's like an engineer as well, like a producer guy.
He does everything.
Yeah,
he can play drums.
Yeah,
he can play. He brought a Moog synthesizer to the sessions, and he said, I know you asked me to play bass, but I also brought the Moog because I'm going to play Moog on your record. You don't have to keep it, but I'm going to do it. And I was like, and he didn't know this, but I was like really excited because I was just like, this is exactly what I want, just a little bit. And he basically only played a little bit of white noise on East of Eden, but then I went out and I totally fell in love, and I went out and bought the exact same one, this little Moog Rogue, kind of cheap,
He's credited with playing bass and synthesizer on this song, All Night Sedans.
Oh yeah, he actually played, if you can believe it, because I was okay. We did everything on tape, so I felt like it totally legitimized. But he was using Ableton for like some sort of synth pad. I had no idea what he was doing, but it was so beautiful. But it went to tape, so then I was like, I'm okay with Ableton on my record because I didn't play it, and it didn't look like he was playing it either. He was just touching color pads on his screen. Like, I don't understand what Ableton is.
You're right, right.
But yeah, no. So he didn't play Moog on it, but yeah.
I know you mentioned earlier that you want to sort of protect your privacy on some level, but there is a you and I that you employ in terms of pronouns throughout this record, and I can't help but assume that you have a singular muse you're thinking of throughout this record. Is that fair?
That's a great question. Let me think about it, because I never think about the record as a whole. I think about each song on it. Well, not all the time, but there's yeah. I think so.
The subjects of the songs just seem like very pronounced entities, and you seem to have formed very intricate opinions of them. And I don't, I can't help but read it. This is the exercise. We're reading into the songs, but there's just something going on here. And I mean, if this song has a chorus, and I suppose it does, it's "Wish It Could Have Been Another Way." And there's just something Obviously, that is a regretful statement, inherently so. But yeah, I don't mean to, and even I don't know what this. I mean, even this phrase. You say now I'm driving all night sedans. All the things I should have done while I do what I can. I mean, what does that phrase mean to you? What does an all night sedan mean?
Oh well, all night sedan is it's the when I was in Florida, I was driving on the highway and there was like this black sedan in the back. There was a kind of like a handmade sign. They have, last I checked, they have one like on Facebook. It's called Up All Night Sedans, some sort of sedan delivery business.
Now you're getting into Neil Young territory here.
Yeah.
Sedan delivery. Yeah.
But maybe it was not a delivery business. And I'm just thinking about Neil Young because I'm such way too deep into Rest Never Sleeps. But yeah. And I just, for some reason, it got stuck in my head. It was like months later that I wrote the song, but I just was like, but all night sedans for some reason like really flowed and like had like this energy that was so strange, like the energy of like, I don't know, like some sort of late night secrecy and like, complicitness. And yet at the same time, like a very difficult real job, that would be quite lonely. But all in my head, I don't really know anything about this business.
Well, if this is helpful in any way, I would suggest that if you encounter your friend and my brief acquaintance Shahzad Ismaili running an all-night sedan business, don't get in the car with him. He will play bass and drive with his feet, and it's odd. But I love amazing that we have this thing with this guy, and anyway. Sorry.
The thing is, wherever you go, if you're in a slight musical circle, someone will tell you like, oh, actually, I know Shahzad. And then they tell you a story that, like thematically makes sense, like, but doesn't in any way have anything to do with your story. Like, I've heard about him, like, being at someone's wedding and like dropping like live bass over like a DJ set, like out of nowhere, and like just destroying the dance floor. Like,
I did take, on that trip, I took photos of people I thought were notable. I definitely have photos of Shahzad just sitting there, kind of seeming, I can picture the photo right now. So he's an interesting cat, and it's great that, and the playing is wonderful. Like
he's really magical. And the day he showed up, before we recorded this song, we were playing and we didn't, I was just maybe just playing like some chords on the piano and he was playing, and I remember going, I'm kind of terrible. I'm very difficult to play with, and because I don't like bass. I really just dislike bassing, like people playing bass. I like really simple, I like Paul McCartney bass playing, end of the list, basically.
You think Paul McCartney is a simple bass player? I don't think of him as a simple bass player at all.
No, I'm sorry. But it's whenever he's not simple, he's completely melodic and completely serving the song, which is, like, oh my God, something, or While My Guitar Gently Weeps or whatever. It's just like, it's just like so really.
Well, I think I
just want to listen to Paul McCartney right now.
Yeah, no, please listen to me. Listen, focus, Leif. Focus on me right now.
Okay.
This bass discussion leads us into this beautiful song, Elegy. Elegy, I think, is a centerpiece song here. This is a song that won't leave me. I'm very much enamored of this song.
Oh.
And I don't know if this is going to be offensive to you or if it wasn't coming from these places, but I hear traces of Joni Mitchell and Prince, and you play a bass part on this song that is just stunning. It's so straightforward, and it comes and goes, but I think it's perfect.
Oh, thank you.
Take a look at me now. Take a look at me now.
So that's why I brought up all the bass. What can you say about the song Elegy?
Well, it was a hard one to record because it has a really specific. I wrote it. It was like twice the speed on the piano, and it was kind of like the same tempo and beat as Signed, Sealed, Delivered, I'm Yours, the Stevie Wonder song.
Oh yeah, it does have that.
Yeah, yeah. And I thought, when I wrote it, I thought that's the song that I was singing. And so I was like, I didn't write it down at the time because I was like, God, why am I making up new lyrics to Stevie Wonder's song? And I was like, oh, I was writing my own Motown song. That's stupid. And then I didn't write it down. And then the next day I was like, you're trying to write a record and you didn't write down the song that came to you, like fully formed. Were you stupid? And then it came back, and then I wrote it down. It was like, like 6 pages of lyrics or whatever. And then I trimmed it down to like the ones that are left. And then some sort of story came out of it. And I didn't really change much. I just kind of deleted a lot.
Yeah.
Some things made no sense. Like, right around the city on my bicycle, and then I rhymed bicycle with tricycle. I'm like, that's not really what I'm working on right now. Sometimes you have to like say really stupid lines to keep the flow going and just not interrupt, the writing. And then that song came together, and it took a while to get because play it too slow, it gets really sad. Play it too fast, it just like falls off the rails. And then
no,
this was maybe the 5th version.
Yeah, it's in the pocket here. I think this is the right arrangement for it. And we were talking about rhyme schemes earlier. You were talking about Bob Dylan's song Billy.
Mm-hmm.
This opens with a brilliant flurry of lines.
Minor chords and major arcana, little leather jacket and a black bandana, kicking over trash cans and telling jokes in Atlanta. When I got the fever, it hit me like a fan on the back of my head. I don't know who I am, but
the phrasing of that last part, when I got the fever, it hit me like a fan on the back of my hand. That the way that works in the meter of the first 3 lines is really brilliant. I think it's really great. And I just wanted to say that I'm just a huge fan of this song. I think it's great. And this, again, I think you're hearkening back to some past incident here, because I mentioned the other song, All Night Sedans, has this regretful line in it, this recurring chorus. This one, take a look at me now. Something temporarily has changed, and you want the subject of the song to take a look at you now. But not in a Phil Collins way.
No, it's funny because when I wrote that, I was like, that song was also strange because I kept on wanting to cut it because I was like, well, am I really going to sing this? Are people going to be like, what the hell is he saying? Take a look at me now. I didn't know about the Phil Collins one, but I feel like people tend to like be like they kind of get that it's not like a take a look, jazz hands,
Well,
take a look at me now.
Do you know the Phil Collins song Against All Odds?
I specifically, someone told me that there was a Phil Collins song with that line in it, so I just avoided it. I just didn't want to in case I loved it more than my own, I didn't want to get depressed, or if I didn't like it, I didn't want to have an opinion, so I just avoided it.
I feel like it won an Oscar. That was a good Phil Collins song.
Okay, good. Amazing.
Yeah. Tell me about the bass part, because I think it's fascinating.
Oh, well, I mean, the bass part it's really funny. This is 4 versions later, and that's what was left. I remember what it makes me think of is I would know way too much about Bob Dylan, but that song Most of the Time, you know that song.
Of course.
I bet I know you know that song. And I heard earlier demos of it, and there isn't that bass line in it. Boo-doo-doo-doo-doo-doo,
yeah.
Most of the time. And one of the earlier versions on the bootleg series has it comes in once, and then the next version is they're playing it every riff. It's like they found the hook for the song.
Right.
And it was just kind of this, they saw it, and then they're kind of finding the sculpture inside the clay and bringing it out. It was always there, but they had to hear it until they placed it. And not that it was that, but when I did an early version with Shahzad, I played on the bass line, which was actually this chromatic thing, like in Stevie Wonder, super cheesy.
Right.
And but it really worked solo piano. But then with the band, it had a different color, and so then Shahzad was just reduced it to one note, and I was like, oh, that's great. And he played over the whole song, and but then but then that didn't work. It was like a really sad version that had no. It was just like it was very dark. Actually, it was kind of like spooky. It was really strange, and it was frightening. Actually, and it made me sick to my stomach. It was the weirdest version.
Okay, wow.
It wasn't Shazad or anything. It was just when I record a song, if it goes the wrong way, I get viscerally pretty upset, and like it's like watching I don't know, it's like watching something become deformed when it was fine before. So I like took a step back and I was like, okay, what's going on with this song? And then eventually I was like, I need to do it just with Olivier on the drums with this beat, and I finally figured out what the drum groove was, and when I was swimming, and I was like, oh, it's this. It's like kind of like a Buffalo Springfield drum beat, like
right.
Super simple, straightforward the whole way through. And then I played it just piano and drums, and then I was like, it needs bass. And then when I played bass on it, it dragged everything. And when Doves Cry doesn't have any bass and there's all this tension,
yes,
that's the only precedent of like no bass that I can think of right now with something that kind of works. And then I played this riff, but like super simplified, and I changed it to get the right rhythm and everything. But then
it's fantastic.
In the chorus, and then I was like, okay, that's what's gonna. And I remember asking Olivier, I was like, is this a song? Does this work? And he's like, I don't know, I think so, because it's just piano and drums, So I was like, I was pretty sure that it was going to not be the one song that people skip, but I was like, I don't care. I just want
it's not. It's unskippable. I think to me, it's my, and I don't mean to say it's my favorite song this early in the conversation. We have a number of songs left to go, but it just really struck me. I appreciate a song that is sparse, but the intent is there. Like the intent is strong, and it. I don't know. You mentioned When Doves Cry. Does the Prince Joni thing resonate with you?
I mean, I love Joni, and Prince was it was the strangest thing, because the day I recorded that, janvier, février, mars, avril, mai. Attends, janvier, février, mars, avril. Yeah, no. When did this happen now? I'm trying to remember, because it was that was the day. I went to go see Prince that day.
Oh, there you go.
It.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm trying to remember, because I did a session the day I saw Prince, and I did another session a month later. But I'm 99% sure it was that day that I went to go see Prince, and I ran off. I remember because I had tickets to him sing solo piano in Montreal, and I got them because I was like, oh my God, this is gonna sell out. And I got it, and I knew I had a recording day that day, but I was like, I can't cancel recording, but like, I can't not go see Prince. In a way, this is like part of my musical education.
Right.
Who knew that he was going to die? He died a month to the day
of
later.
The show? Yeah, he died shortly after that tour. Yeah.
Wow. And so, anyhow, so
you did go. You went to the show.
Yeah, we got the take, and I was like, I think I got it, and then I went. And it was amazing. And I definitely think about Prince when I play that song often.
Sorry, you got the take of this song?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
And then you saw him.
Yeah.
He's in the song. I hear him in this song. This seems
he's in the song somewhere.
Yeah. There's Joni and Prince in this song, and I don't. Yeah.
Well, that's really sweet of you. But also, like, wherever there's Prince, there's Joni. He's such a huge fan. Apparently, he wrote her fan mail.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know if you ever heard her doing interviews about it, where she's like, I would get these weird letters from I thought it was from a boy, like a very effeminate boy. There'd be like sparkles and like hearts and like childish things saying he loved me, but it was people would be like, that's Prince, and she's like, who's Prince? Or something like that.
That's funny. Well, anyway, it's a gorgeous song, and I commend you for that one. All right. Well,
thanks.
Are you fine to move on?
I'm always fine to move on.
Yeah, you'd prefer moving on, I think.
I like moving on.
You like the moving on part the best. Okay.
Don't say anything that I'll regret. Yeah.
Into the Ether.
Quit me on. 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 Me on, quit me on, quit me on, quit me on. I wrote it after being dragged along to a club night. That I was like, I'm tired. I want to go home. This is not where I need to be. And
I ended up being in a club in Montreal with it was great music. It was really good, like techno and like crazy lights. And but then people were just being, whatever. I'm just not a party animal, I guess.
No, but there's something false about that whole atmosphere. The thing, and that's, I think, what maybe, now that you mention this to me, your chorus here essentially, and forgive me if I'm confused about what constitutes a chorus, because I feel like the structures are loose enough that I hear things recur, but your choruses, if they are choruses, are a sentence sometimes. They're a phrase. Yeah. And this one is "Quit Putting Me On," which, now that you mention the club culture, and I think about your lyrics.
I saw you in the club getting all fucked up, and cocaine, well, it was all sucked up. You felt the power of something. You felt the power of something. But not for long.
You felt the power of something, but
Pretty
not
obvious.
for long. Yeah, there's something, but there's just a sense that you don't believe it.
Yeah, well, there's a conflation of a lot of things, and that song is a weird one because I just kind of wrote it the next day. Like, I was listening a lot to Freddie Mercury at the time for some reason, and somehow like there was something about. There's only one way, I think, to go to a club, and that's to listen to. And this is not really actually what I believe, but for me personally, if "Don't Stop Me Now" comes on at a bar or at a club, that's the highest point that you can reach as a human being in a bacchanalian exertion of yourself. Like singing along and dancing to that song. There's something about like you want to. That song is about letting go completely and freeing yourself from like the chains of your everyday life to like be alive and present in the moment, and like despite like, or not despite, but because of this internal sadness that you have. It's so, for me, that song is it's so poetic, and yet like just this like struggle to be free on a Friday or Saturday night or something, and I just feel like that's where it's at. And for some reason, I was thinking about that song.
So are you a Queen person generally?
I love, what's weird is that I'm not a deep Queen fan. My brother gave me he's like, "Oh, you like that song? I'll give you the record." And I just don't listen to jazz, that Queen record. And, but, "Don't Stop Me Now" is like epic. And of course, all the singles, and My Best Friend and, Can Anybody Find Me Somebody to Love? Like those the major Queen hits for me are huge. And when they're not hits, they don't go as far for me. Like There's something about their hits that are, it's not that they're just good songs. I find that they touch upon some sort of, I don't know, something very, very, very deep for me. Anyway, as a listener.
I think there's a lot of humanity in Queen hits, if that makes any sense. I feel like they're really trying to galvanize people and sort of get to something universal in every song. And I think that maybe speaks to their enduring power, because they're massive. Like there's just so many songs that are hit singles by Queen, and I feel like every one of them is someone's song. They just touch people very specifically, and more than the Beatles or Zeppelin. Like there's just something about those Queen songs that everyone can kind of sort of agree. I shouldn't say this because I'm sure there's people who absolutely despise them, but I think I think they really reached a lot of people. Obviously they reached a lot of people, but I think that there's just something there. They were reaching for something.
And it's pretty vulnerable too, like lyrically. He's putting himself out there, but the band, of course, between Brian May and Freddie Mercury's voice, it's like the most powerful sounds you can get. They had to put like disclaimers on the back of the record being like, there's no synthesizers played on this record because these guitars sound so good. They sound like unreal. They sound like, it wasn't that anti-synthesizer. They put these warnings that like, or no, these disclaimers that, Brian May made these sounds with his guitar. So you didn't think they were, you're like, just so much power coming out of something so vulnerable, But also like the end of "Don't Stop Me Now" is like one of my favorite recording moments of like recorded music. Like when he just kind of like sings la-las into the reverb, just like, it's just all echo, and he just keeps singing even though the party's done and the band is like gone home, and he's just like gone crazy, with dreaming. It's just like, anyhow, I just like really somehow that feeling is in the song somehow, just kind of like, I don't know what I'm trying to say.
No,
really,
no.
But I thought about him a lot
it.
when I was recording it, for sure.
Okay, well, that's fair.
Yeah.
Let's move on to this record moves along, I think, a little bit like a travelogue, and we're entering a bit of that territory now. We're heading to a song called Big Sky Country.
Red-winged blackbird, sitting on a cattail's end. Red-winged blackbird, sitting on a cattail's end. Loud enough to be there, but heavy enough to bend. Red-winged blackbird, sitting on a cattail's end.
This song is, I think, lyrically sort of sparse compared to most of the other ones. A lot of repeated, recurring lines. And it may be, on paper, certainly it seems like we were talking about your feeling pigeonholed about being in a folk realm. But this, like I say, if I looked at this in the lyric sheet of like the American Anthology of Folk Music, I wouldn't be surprised. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, that's nice, I think, but also it is the oldest song, I think, on the record. I think it's one from that kind of worked its way from that period where it kind of stuck, and so it kind of makes sense. I appreciate you noticing that it stuck out, because I'm like, yeah, I think it does, yeah.
And where did this song come from, per se?
There's they come from all kinds of different places, but I mean, each line kind of came to me on its own, and that's why. And then it fit the meter of this melody, and so I would put them one after the other. And it's one of the rare attempts where it didn't seem to be a Frankenstein, but it seemed to like actually be trying to be written that way. And so I didn't feel like I was like, and now the story's done. Like, what's the story about? It's like, oh no, this is the story. This is the story that happened, and this is how it went down. But the lines would come to me one at a time, and like one of the lines was, I was in Winnipeg doing this Nuna festival, this Icelandic festival.
In Winnipeg?
I got in Winnipeg, yeah.
There's an Icelandic festival in Winnipeg?
Yeah, because Gimli, Manitoba. Oh, sorry, did I say Winnipeg? I meant Manitoba.
Oh, I see. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
of course, Gimli. Yeah, sorry.
Sir John A. Gimli? No, I'm just...
Sir John
sorry.
A. Gimli.
Callback. I did a callback to the earlier confusion. Sorry.
I'll never be free of all my Sir John A's. But, yeah, but no, I was invited to an Icelandic heritage festival because they mistakenly thought I was Icelandic. And then when I said, by the way, I'm not Icelandic, they said, never mind. Who cares? It's fine. Like, come anyways.
Oh, okay. Right. Because your name. They thought your name was Icelandic, right?
Yeah. And,
it's Scandinavian, is it?
Yeah, it's Norwegian.
Norwegian, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But,
well, what does Big Sky Country as a motif represent? Is that an actual place for you?
I mean, yeah. I mean, one of the things was when I drove out when I was in 1997, so I would have been 11. My dad took the family out in a car on a road trip for like 2-3 weeks. He said, "You guys are going to see all of Canada," and then on the way back, we went through the northern states, and Montana was his favorite state, and he was just like, "Big Sky Country," it's on all the license
right?
plates,
Yeah, exactly.
And he's just like, and there's like no speed limit, reasonable and prudent. My dad was like in paradise, not that we like hung out with anyone from Montana. He was doing a lot of driving, trying to get home, but he just loved the wide open spaces. And then there's that Ian Tyson song.
Restless Scofflaw, your father, is that?
exactly.
No speed limit, open sky, open road. That's for me.
He's he's anything but a Republican, but on paper he's just loves all these classic American things.
Right.
And we were listening to almost ad nauseum, but honestly it didn't get ad nauseum-y. Ian Tyson's Cowboyography and all the good ones, like a compilation of Ian Tyson songs. And there's one song called that we were listening to the whole time. It was called "The Gift," about this painter Charles M. Russell, or I like to call him Sir John A. Charles M. Russell.
Sir John A. Evan Charles M. Russell.
Yeah. Oh, you remembered it was Evan. Good for you.
I remember everything.
I had already forgotten. He's back to Sir John.
Evan Nepean. Yeah. Sir Evan Nepean. Yeah.
Sir Evan just doesn't seem like there's a lot of Sir Evans out there.
I don't feel like that's even
he'd be
accurate.
like making some kombucha
somewhere,
Sir Evan. Yeah.
Sir Evan whipped up this kombucha. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah. Sort of Evans out there.
Yeah.
Actually, a friend of mine, Evan, really likes your podcast. So he'll be really insulted, but he'll be really excited.
Where's Evan from?
Montreal.
Oh, okay. I wonder if
But he doesn't make kombucha though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, hopefully he's listening. If he likes the show, he's probably listening. Hi, Evan.
Hi.
Thanks for
Hi,
listening.
buddy.
Thanks for listening, Evan.
Thank you.
Yeah.
No, anyhow, so there's this painter in this Ian Tyson song, and the chorus is "God made Montana," and the idea is that this painter paints beautifully, and then when he dies, he's in heaven, and God says, "You're going to be in charge." While you're here in heaven, you're going to be in charge of painting skies in Montana because I can't paint them as good as you. And so, like, there's kind of this conflation of like Ian Tyson and this great American painter and driving across. And so that just stayed in my mind, I guess, for a million years, okay. 20 years, and then stuff took place there.
Yeah. Okay. So I appreciate the long-term resonance of that kind of experience. And it's funny when you're an artist when inspiration will strike from the past, I suppose.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not like the song has nothing to do with that. It's just that when I sing that song, I see that road that I remember,
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like a little surrealist thing. Like I have an image of a place, and then all of a sudden it's like a clean slate to have whatever I'm writing about kind of just ends up taking place there. It can't always happen in my apartment,
right?
Or like on the street, on the main street, where the things went down or anything. It just seems to like it's nice to move things to new locations. And I don't do it on purpose. It just kind of happens, I think.
Yeah, well, that's a nice segue into the next song on the record, Michigan.
Got my hat, got my guitar, back up the back, get in the car, look out the back window, say hello to all the snow that's piling up upon the road. Not gonna stop if I can. Never been to Michigan. Never been to Michigan.
This song feels like a song where I can kind of feel the reality of it as you being like a troubadour or something. I don't know if I'm reading too much into it. What's the inspiration for Michigan?
That one came like really easily. I wasn't sure it was going to be on the record because I wrote it in about 5 minutes before going to Michigan for a show, I was actually going to Pennsylvania, actually. But
What?
I was gonna. I was gonna
this
go
is a lie.
Yeah,
A lie.
No, but I was gonna go through.
Oh, you have to go
Michigan.
through Michigan, right?
I was gonna go through Michigan, and yeah, and it's got nothing to do with the truth, really, about like never having been. But I just kind of, for some reason, that stuck in my mind as kind of some sort of thought. I don't know. Because I hadn't been in a while, basically, and for some reason that really fascinated me that it had been so long
Oh, I
that
see.
I'd been there. I don't know. I just wrote it out, and I had a one-off solo show in Pennsylvania, and I guess I was just thinking about it, and then I just kind of spiraled into like kind of talking about everything else that was going on, I guess.
According to the credits on the record, this song consists of you on vocals and guitar, Olivier on drums, and Shazad on bass. I got a real Blood on the Tracks vibe.
Oh, cool. Amazing.
Do you know that record by Bob Dylan from 1975?
Do I know it?
Yeah.
The question is, how many copies of it do I own on vinyl? And the answer is 3.
It has like a New York, like there's an alternate session for that record. And
the New York sessions.
Yeah. And this
Idiot Wind sounds so good on it.
Yeah.
And
I don't
Lily
know.
Rosemary and the Jack of Hearts, to me, sounds identical because the imagery is the same.
Oh, to this song?
No. Like the two
I see.
Lily Rosemary and the Jack of Hearts,
I
I
see.
actually find them. I prefer the acoustic version. It's a little bit less,
Right. Well, there's just something.
harmonica.
Is this wrong? Am I wrong to suggest that? It sounds like obviously this is in your a major part of your being, that this record, Blood on the Tracks.
Yeah.
But is that this wasn't a conscious thing? It just.
No, I definitely wasn't going for it. But
Do you hear it? Do you hear where I'm coming from?
I can hear it because, in the sense that there is an alternate tuning that has some drone strings in this one, and like I know that whole record, especially the bootleg. Put my nerd glasses on. Especially the bootleg.
I brought it up. I brought up the bootleg.
Yeah. But like all the open E tuning, that's the whole record, right? It's like all open E on the New York sessions.
Yeah.
And so, there's all these open strings that are going on, and kind of like creating like this drone and kind of mesmerizing. And so there is like an open string the whole time on and an open tuning for this song. So it kind of does have like that, and it's got drop D too. So. Totally. It's an E flat, which is kind of close to E.
It's got the busy brushwork. Like the drums, the drumming is sort of frenetic but subtle. Like it's sort of, I pick up on that a little bit if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah, totally. No, totally.
Okay.
And, totally. And it was funny because we played that song that was the one time we played it too. Like it's just like, that's what's wild. Before I played it, I was like, Shazad, like it's 2 chords. And at one point, I kind of want you to hit like a flat, like a minor 5 going to the 4, but like maybe do it like once, like, or maybe don't do it at all, whatever.
Yeah.
And then he like totally did it, totally nailed it, like at the exact point in the song that like would make sense. He lives on another plane.
Yeah, he does.
Shazad. And I just like, I from him playing one note with Vera Farcature, I had no idea that he was going to like be able to do like exactly what someone would do after 100 rehearsals, and I would still not be satisfied, And I actually only heard his bass part when I was mixing the record, because my rough mix didn't have bass in it for some reason. Oh. So I was like, I guess I'll throw on the song. And then I heard the bass part, and I was like, holy shit, what a beautiful bass line, like answering, like pumping, and then all of a sudden like suspensions and like inversions, Yeah. I'm just playing 2 chords, and he's like totally saving my ass,
Well, it's a lovely arrangement, and the other, this is probably a heavy-handed reading on my part, but the other reason I brought up Blood on the Tracks and Bob Dylan.
No sweet direction to settle on. You and me, Robert. We ramble on.
Well, I actually think I lifted the song from Led Zeppelin because when I was walking home one day, well, the day that I wrote this song, no, the day before, someone had cranked "Ramble On" with their window open, and it sounded so good. It sounded so good.
I see. I went Robert Dylan. You're saying it's really Bobby Plant.
But no, it's kind of, how it is. Like you talk about a song, what's the point? It's both, because obviously I'm thinking about Bob Dylan all the time anyways.
Yes, you're a big fan?
So, I mean, I'm trying to get out of it, I was really hooked for a while,
It's a bit of a trap, isn't it?
It's a bit of a trap because it's like there's so many good records.
It's an
and
endless,
he just keeps changing.
Endless maze. I saw him 5 times this summer. And
this summer?
This summer I saw him 5 times, yeah.
Oh my God.
My
How
son,
was he? I haven't seen him in like 5 years.
Oh, they're beautiful shows. I mean,
Yeah?
like they sort of did the same set, and I think that's really tightened things up because they used to. I liked not knowing what was happening every night. There'd always be a core, but yeah, no, this collection of songs and these arrangements of the old songs, and the old songs meaning like things from like 2001, you know, like Love and Theft.
Yeah.
Everything's just sounding great. So I'm with you on it, and it is an endless trap. It's it's a trap because he just I find him fascinating, and I love the song. So
yeah, what's your favorite record?
My go-to used to be John Wesley Harding, but
Ooh, deep.
Yeah,
Nice.
well, I used to say John Wesley Harding because I used it as a litmus test for whether or not I wanted to be friends with you or date you. And if I was smitten with someone, I would lend them a copy. Just I wouldn't say anything. I'd just like, you should listen to this John Wesley Harding and let me know what you think. And they'd be like, okay. And then invariably the women that would borrow it, that I dated anyway, would say, yeah, I like it. It's good. And I'd be like, good. Okay, good. We can do this.
Okay.
Then. Yeah. So that used to be my go-to like 10, 15, 20 years ago.
Wow,
I have to
amazing.
say Time Out of Mind, Love and Theft, the more contemporary things, I suppose you'd say, in the last 20 years? Since 97.
It's weird how far away that is now.
I know. It seems
Love
strange
and Theft
that
and Time Out of Mind are so good.
Time Out of Mind is a stunner. And to be honest, the other template I hear within this record, atmospherically, is some of that Lanois ambient swampiness. It's quite subtle here, but I hear a bit of that too. That's what struck me when I first unwrapped your CD.
On my record.
Yeah, I put it in the car, and it just.
Cool.
I often will drive home from Toronto at midnight, 1 a.m, with Time Out of Mind playing because I just feel like it's a night record, and
it's such a good night record.
Yeah, and I feel
standing in the doorway is like it just kills me.
There was a period where I sang that song to my children every single night.
Oh, this is the best.
Whole thing. I just sing it, and it was a great lullaby.
You know all the words?
I know all the words.
Get out.
Yeah, I know all the words.
I can never remember all the words. I always drop like one. Last night I danced with a stranger, but she just reminded me you were the one.
It's a beautiful song, and some of his best songs are on Time Out of Mind. And so I would say those ones are my favorite records. But then there's all sorts of, obviously, I think some people listening to this would be like, what are you talking about? The 60s records are so phenomenal, but I find there's something about Love and Theft and Time Out of Mind where there's an economy to the lyrics and the genius, and it's very direct, and I just appreciate it. And his voice is in a really good zone, and
but also like in the 60s, like there is a bit of a sameness. Like he really hit a stride, and then there's a lot of like talking about queens and jacks, and like there's a lot of like card playing imagery, and like then a lot of like I don't know, like a lot of certain like strange things. Like he'll have Achilles and a scorpion, and he'll have like amphetamines, and there's like a certain kind of like discovery of language, and like kind of like this post Rainbow kind of way where he's no longer
from Bringing It All Back Home to Blonde on Blonde. I agree.
Yeah,
there's like a batch of stuff he was pulling from, and then by John Wesley Harding, that simplicity started to enter his. Yeah, he had this notion that he could actually write a little more simply. Like the characters can be there and everything can be there. And anyway, like, I mean, I just got into a habit of singing my son and my daughter standing in the doorway and also Make You Feel My Love. And they're just gorgeous songs, both from Time Out of Mind. And I just, that's around when I became obsessed with him. Like that's around when I discovered him truly. So like I was 20 years old. I got Time Out of Mind from the university newspaper's collection of promo CDs, and I couldn't, based on the cover, like the back image of the CD, it looks like an airbrushed photo of him, but but he's wearing kind of the vest, and it could be a photo and a pose of his from the 60s. So I didn't even know what it was, but I put it on, and I just, Lovesick comes on, and it has that. The first thing you hear is noise, essentially. You hear incidental ambient noise, and all this to say, and I said this to someone about your record at the time. I was like, there's like a Lanois-y thing where I feel like the production is a character to these songs. And I don't know if you are someone who thinks about these things, the reverb or just the tone, and there's not much of that here. I could, in retrospect, and obviously in preparation for this, I listened to it more closely, and some of it's very dry, actually, like it's very direct, but there's just something about the feeling of the production and the feeling of the arrangements that took me to Time Out of Mind.
Oh, that's so nice. Well, everybody on that record, everybody's playing live in the room, and countless players apparently. Sometimes there are 2 pedal steel players on that record at times.
Oh, you're talking about Time Out of Mind.
Time Out of Mind, yeah.
Yeah.
But then also my record, like, that's how I like to do it, and so I'm like, about 5 feet away from the drums, singing live vocals next to the drummer and the bass players in the room, and we just do a take together. And so the sound, for me, what I like about doing that is that. And it's kind of hell for the engineer that's mixing it, and I always get like scolded, and I should. But what happens is that there's drums in my vocal mic, and my vocals, when I sing loud, are in the drum mics. And so everything is, we're all playing to each other in the room and not on headphones, so listening to our own personal mixes, but literally trying to converse with each other in the room.
Yeah.
And then also all the, everything is kind of pre-mixed because all the sounds are already, your hands are tied, like the drums are in the vocal mic, so they're going to be there throughout the whole song, and you start hearing the sound of the room, and that's the atmosphere. So there is a certain space that the record gets to have, and you get to hang out in that. With live records, you get to hang out in that room. You get, like Stax records or like old Elvis records. You can feel the energy of the room.
Yes,
it's, whereas
exactly
modern
right.
records you can't.
Yeah,
so.
That's exactly what I hear in your record as well.
Oh, well, thank you. But it's. I find that's just my favorite records are live in a room, and then you hear the walls kind of reflecting the sound, and then you just kind of get to go there. You don't have to be, if things are really produced in like, kind of started happening more in the 80s, you're kind of feel like the sound is happening only, I don't know, only then when the record is happening in your car or something.
Yeah,
you don't travel to where the record's happening.
Yeah, exactly. And I do feel like, as I say, there's a travelogue aspect to the record, your record, in terms of just feeling like you're in different cities by name, and that you're traveling, and also that you feel like you're in another. It took me to another place. I will say this, like it impacted me in that way, where I thought
that's so nice.
I felt like I was in a different space, and meanwhile I was hurtling down a highway in my car, and I like that. I like a good road record, like a record that kind of feels like the nighttime or something like that, and so it's become a nice companion to me on the road when I'm traveling at night. And most people would want to stay awake and listen to something more frenetic or something, but I like the pace of this thing. And anyway, all this talk of travel leads us nicely to another song. This one is called Road to Venus.
Saw you play on the frets with just your little silhouette. Never knew no one like you, and I still haven't yet followed you above the crowd, lonely as a cloud, from Carolina to Salinas, road to Venus, road to Venus.
Oh yeah, Road to Venus. I haven't played that one in a while.
What is the story behind this song?
I kind of had like a maybe like a stalker is maybe the term. And so there's something, somehow I ended up writing this song kind of out of that experience, kind of. And then it kind of like, I was also driving down to from Denver to California, and then every night, it was one of those things. I took a gig in Denver, and then I booked myself a gig in LA because I needed to get away from me. And for me, it's helpful to write songs if I'm alone in a car, thinking about driving,
Yeah.
and I'm not consciously and so, I took a couple days to do the drive. And so every night when I was driving, Venus would be right then, due west. And it would look so good. And then I kind of had this feeling that, that I was stalking Venus. And then I just felt it was kind of this weird cycle. And then I kind of felt, I don't know. And then this song came out of it. Wow. Kind of this creepy song, but also kind of a, not an apology, but kind of coming to terms with it. And there's no hard feelings or anything like that kind of thing. Do you know?
The situation with the person who you felt was stalking you has been resolved?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a frightening thing. That's a very frightening thing, and the song does have a darkness to it. I was going to ask about that, and so wow, wow, yeah, it's there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, on a lighter note, this song features some lap steel.
Yeah. Yeah. And I asked the string players, these wonderful string players, their name is Shargo. I asked them to play on this one as well, because I had them play strings on the whole record. And then they categorically refused. They said, "Are you kidding? We're not going to play over that. The pedal steel's up there. We're not going to go there.
Oh.
We're not going to do it." And I was like, "But I just want to hear it. We're here." And they're like, "No, we're not." They said no, and we worked on other songs.
Because
they refused.
You recorded the lap steel was played by my friend and
Michael Fierstack.
Michael Fierstack, who's been a guest on this show, and so you had laid this down with him live? Is that...
I actually it was just drums, bass, guitar, and then I knew I was going to have, from the beginning, I knew I was going to have Mike come in and play lap steel. I saw him play lap steel with someone at Casa, and for some reason that night, what he played, I was like, oh, that's exactly the sound of of this song. And I just waited till it was done, and then I asked him to come in. He knocked it out in a couple hours.
So Shargo heard that and we're like, nope, not touching it.
Not touching Mike Fierstack. Yeah.
Well, it is a disturbing song on some level, but it's a lovely one as well. So
yeah, it's not like there's no crisis in the song. It's just kind of there's kind of a resolution to everything. It's kind of this peaceful. For me, it kind of takes me right back to that road, and which feels amazing. That driving through Northern California and Nevada is just Arizona is just just amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Especially Arizona. Oh my God.
I've never been.
Oh, beautiful family trip if you have the chance.
But isn't the whole state of Arizona incredibly racist?
This is what you will not notice when you're driving alone on a highway at night.
Maybe I would notice it because I'm a brown guy.
Oh my God! I'm not even. It's not. Is it? I don't know. This is a great question.
No,
this is a great question.
I don't want to go down this road, particularly if we're going down a road in Arizona.
Well, because he just pardoned that sheriff, right? And he's in Arizona.
That's right.
God, oh my God!
Arizona is, I believe, they were one of the only states to not observe Martin Luther King Day.
Are you serious?
It's a bad place.
Oh God!
I would say. I apologize to anyone listening. I'm sure there's very good people there, as there are in all terrible places, and they have to endure terribleness. But I would not be going to Arizona.
The thing is, touring in the States, everywhere I go, I meet amazing, amazing people. It doesn't matter where I go.
Oh.
And then it's always so true though. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I frequently talk about it on this show with my guests, but I'm not going to go down this road with you right now.
It's one of those things. There's like a ban on talking about certain things with my brother on the phone. Or else we never hang up. We just end up talking forever about.
Well, no, I think it's important. No. Don't get me wrong. I think it's very important to talk about these things. But we are on an assignment, you and I, right now, to go through your record, and I could talk about it with you for a long time, but I feel like we should keep focused here. I'm just trying to be a good producer and host of my own podcast, and
production is key. It's good.
It is. We're going to move on to a song called "East of Eden."
Tell me it's east of Eden. dark at night, in the blue electric light.
There's like a 14-minute song recorded by Gillian Welch called I Dream a Highway.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is East of Eden, from what I can tell in the liner notes here, it says here East of Eden based on I Dream a Highway, written by Gillian Welch. What is the deal with this song?
Yeah. Do you not hear it? That I stole the melody?
No, I do hear it. Is that all?
Oh.
Yeah, no, I hear it. I just wanted you to say it. I didn't want to accuse you of anything.
No, you can't. I was listening to that song for about, I don't know, a year and a half. Like, just basically every day, every other day. And
do you mean because it's 14 minutes long? It's just so long. It took you a year and a half.
I listened to it at half speed. No, I listen to it all the time. Something that's a very that's a song that is just like, I want to talk to them. I want to meet them and talk to them and find out, how that song came about. If they, because it's just one of those things where that song has existed forever, I think, and it just wants to go on forever, and you can feel that there's a 1,000 more verses waiting to be written, and there's no end, and there's no reason for it to end, and the way it ends is it doesn't, Yeah. And so it got stuck in my head, and at one point I was writing a song, and I don't think I even realized what I was doing, and this melody was the song, and and again, like I try not to think about it when I'm writing a song, like if I've stolen something or not, or because it's not really helpful, because you should write it anyways, figure out what you're trying to say and what's going on, and then you can take a step back and then reevaluate after. And with this, I took a step back and I was like, oh my God, this is their song, but I just kept singing it. When it ended, I didn't think it should end, and I just kept singing, my own lyrics,
right. And
then it became this other song, and then I had this alternate tuning, and I started playing it on the guitar. And so then all of a sudden, I was like, God, what's going on? And so, so I got in touch, because I was like, if it was someone else, I would have been like, this is folk tradition, like this is how it goes, and things have been different in different ways. With some melodies are close, but it's not worth, But I just, for some reason, for me, like I knew exactly that it was their melody, so I wrote them, and I got permission and all that, from them to use it, which was kind of a scary thing, because the easiest thing would be, I'm a Canadian singer-songwriter. Who the heck's gonna listen to my record?
What do they get? Do they get like a songwriting credit now or something?
Yeah, it's their song now. Yeah.
Oh, it's their song.
Oh, now it was more complex than anything, but
okay.
It's like I don't know how, I try not to get involved in things like that, I'm just happy that I get to sing a song that, that I didn't write the lyrics. I mean, write the melody too.
Well, speaking of copyright infringement, East of Eden is a John Steinbeck novel. It was, I believe, James Dean's first film. I might be wrong about that, but it's a James Dean movie. It has a life of its own as a title, I suppose. Why did you? Why did that phrase, or this turn of phrase, or this title, East of Eden, resonate with you?
Well, I read East of Eden prior to writing this song, and it was one of the most. I think it's my favorite book that I've ever read, and I was reading it on tour, and when you're reading a good book, or you're really connecting with something, like there's occurrences in your life that seem to really line up with what you're reading, and it kind of resonates on like multiple levels, and that was kind of happening. And
yeah, I had that experience reading Who is Bugs Potter by Gordon Corman. Did you ever read that?
No, I haven't read it.
It's about like a drummer. He wants to be a drummer, but he can't. He's got to do it on the down low. That's how I learned to play drums. I had to hide it from my parents. Yeah,
that's not the easiest task.
No, great book.
Yeah.
Wonderful Canadian classic. Who is Bugs Potter?
That sounds great.
By Gordon Corman. Yeah, I recommend that. You keep telling me about John Steinbeck's East of Eden, though.
Yeah, I wish Steinbeck were Canadian. That I could have a good Canadian book to talk about. Yeah. No. Anyhow, so yeah, I just kind of like fell in love with the book, and then I ended up, I didn't want the book to end, and it kind of just like I kind of thought about it, and it kind of just worked into its like I was kind of in love with the book, like I've been in love with people, which is crazy, but and so kind of everything kind of just meshed together and became this I don't really know what the heck I'm doing, but it just kind of worked like that.
I find a book like that frustrating because it's got to end, and you never want it to end. I don't really want it to end, and that's frustrating for me.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Oh, yeah, that's actually a line from your. That's a line.
Literally the line.
She's just like a book. I don't want it to end. Yeah, that's how I feel about certain books.
What do you think about that? Yeah, no, exactly. So it's just like kind of how it goes.
I was just reading this new book by. Do you know Montreal's Heather O'Neill?
Yeah, I sure do.
Do you know her well?
She's best friends with one of my good friends, so I get a glimpse of her genius every once in a while.
Okay, well, she just published a book called The Lonely Hearts Hotel, and I just wanted to read it. Even when I usually reserve my reading for like the evening time before bed, because my days are kind of packed, but I just wanted to read it all the time. And then it broke my heart at the end.
No!
Anyway,
I haven't read it yet. I've been meaning to do it because I just never read these days because I'm just a complete slob of a man. But I've been meaning to read that. I'm so excited.
It's good. It's very good. I enjoyed it very much, and
Perfect.
I'm hoping to talk to her about it sometime soon. Actually, one of the recurring. So yeah, she's just like a book. I don't want it to end. So I guess I ripped off. I was wondering why I had that in my head, and I remembered that I read it in this very song. But the other lyric.
No, I'm not the only one. No, I'm not the only one. At least I'm not the lonely one. No, I'm not the only one. No, I'm not the only one. At least I'm not the lonely one. Do what you were doing.
I know I'm not the only one. At least I'm not the lonely one. That's a heartbreaking thing.
Yeah. I guess so. Yeah, it's a sad one.
It's a sad line.
That's a straight up sad line.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, kind of like kind of soulless. Yeah.
All right. No, that's fair. That's fine. I think we should move on to the next song on the record. We're almost done. This is the penultimate song. Telluride.
Throw the paper on the step, then run away if you haven't yet. Gone for ages, gone for good. It has been a while, as it should. Telluride, 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 Telluride.
Is this in Colorado?
It is. It's where I'm going tomorrow.
You have a slight obsession with Colorado.
I mean, this great singer-songwriter Gregory Alan Isakov lives there, and we went on tour a couple times, and I just love his music, and I visited him a couple times out there, and it is a beautiful state, very lovely. But when I was playing a show at his place, kind of this house show, and some people there were talking about Telluride. And I'd never been. I hadn't even seen it written down anywhere, that place, or on a map or anything. But they were talking about Telluride, and I just had all of these ideas about, what it would be like and what it looked like. And I didn't go, and I didn't do any research, and then I wrote a song about it. Yeah.
That's just how it went.
Yeah.
It's just a destination in the song.
Yeah.
And is there anything going on within the... It's essentially the chorus. It's another one of these sparse choruses of yours, I suppose. But is there anything going on in the verses that you feel like is worth mentioning?
Oh yeah, I really liked. I wrote this song in one shot as well. The night before I wrote the Michigan song, it was like a really, really nice period of time where writing was really easy, and as the lyrics kind of got down, I found that I was really happy about them. I really liked the line. I like singing the line about everything white going blue and everything,
I've dressed up in poems, and I've ridden on the rails, and I've seen picture postcards and draped in the sail. The white ones, they go blue, the red ones go all green. One thing that I'm sure of, it's never the way that it seems. Telluride, 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 Telluride.
Yeah, I love singing that. I don't know why. It just kind of works for me. I love that point in the day, around in the winter, around 5 o'clock, when if you have a white apartment, it just goes that really, really rich blue of early dusk, that afternoon dusk that you get.
Yeah.
And for some reason, and then I remember as a kid, I remember how noticing for the first time those colors changing within your own bedroom, depending, as things get darker. And I just remember being so fascinated and confused,
Yeah.
I was so sure what the color of something was during the day, and at night I was so utterly confused by the color vanishing. Just it's just light vanishing, but yet I was thought it was really astounding. And somehow that kind of I kind of go there a little bit.
You're immersed in your surroundings and nature in particular on this record.
Yeah. Hope maybe. Yeah.
Well,
that makes sense.
A lot of elemental stuff, a lot of outdoor stuff, oceans and roads and places and skies. It's all there, I think.
Yeah, I guess it's kind of where, especially when you're touring as a musician. I like traveling, and so it's really enjoy being a musician, because it's you just have it, the deal is you travel to play music, so it's kind of nice. And I guess I end up seeing way more of the world than I would have otherwise, so I'm quite grateful for that.
Well, I think that I don't know if I'm right about this, but I feel like we're in a good place to move on to the closer of the record.
Yeah.
It's called Rest.
For years I've been working, and traveling alone. I eat out in restaurants, where men wear cologne. Recognized as a stranger, every place that I went. Sometimes I just close my eyes and begin my descent.
And it seems to me to be quite autobiographical.
Hey, that sounds correct. Maybe.
Is that accurate? Is this about you and your life as a musician a little bit?
Everything is, everything's, I don't lie in the songs ever, really, but so.
There's something
I think
about
they're all kind of.
The first verse seems quite to capture the life that you lead.
Yeah, it might have to do with one time where I got a grilled cheese sandwich and a Coke in Raleigh, North Carolina after a show one time. Maybe. I remember some guy really smelled like cologne, but I don't. It's not exactly that.
But this notion of that rest is as good as sleep, which is the way the song ends. That's a good mantra to have when you're past the point of exhaustion. Yeah,
and it's what's beautiful about it is that when you're really tired, that's when you need to sleep the most, and you're the most, that classic thing of, you're so stressed about getting to sleep, you can't get to sleep.
Yeah, you're overtired is the term, yeah.
Yeah, but the other thing where you're like, oh, I have to get up at 5 a.m., it's 2 a.m., I need to sleep right now. Yeah. And also I need to wake up at 5 a.m., I can't miss it. So you're just like, it's just like this confusion of like...
Stress sleep.
Yeah, what stress sleep, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to kill this sleep right now. Yeah, and so there's nothing better than just like, you know what, it's okay if you don't fall asleep as long as your eyes are closed. It's like, it's the best possible headspace to fall asleep if you're in that kind of place, which is unfortunately often the case.
So this is a song that ends this way, it's framed this way, about rest, but is that what it's about, really?
I mean, when I was listening to it, when I recorded it live with Adam, the sax player.
We should say that, actually. It's it's the most unique musical configuration on the whole record, really.
Yeah, pump organ and sax, yeah.
And harp.
Oh yeah, and harp. How could I forget?
It's yourself and a fellow named it's you on pump organ, and then it's Adam Kinner on saxophones and Sarah Page on the harp. Yeah, from the Bar Brothers.
We were on tour together, and at one point she was doing some soloing, and I was just like, oh, that's exactly what's going to go on this song.
She was soloing on a harp.
Yeah, she like plugs it into an amp peg, like she's got distortion pedals and stuff, and she like is like as loud as like the electric guitar, and she like will just like chug away, and it's just amazing.
Right.
She's got a lot of attitude. It's great. She's pretty smooth on this one.
Right.
But actually her I really like her amp sound. So it's like the harp is going through her amp, you know, kind of this really a little bit distorted, just very lightly. You can't really tell.
Right.
Sounds good.
Well, yeah. It's a lovely song. It's a lovely closer. And you and I just did it. We talked all about your album, Twin Solitude. The only thing I don't think we got to is its name. What is this? I thought do you know the book by Hugh McLennan about the two Solitudes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. Is there something going on there?
I borrowed it from my mom, and I was like, I'm going to read this. And then I didn't. I remember getting through a couple pages, and I was like, I feel like I know. And then I was like, I don't know. And I was like, I need to read this. And then it kind of, I felt the obligation of a Canadian obligation to like read the whole thing really seriously, and I just haven't gotten around to it.
So
but,
where
it's
does
not really about. It has nothing to do with it. It just. But I think I kind of don't like dialectics, and I find that they end up like, I don't know. When you grow up, if you have like, do you have like many siblings or one sibling or?
Yes, I have a sister.
Okay, yeah, and so you have one sibling. So you know when you're growing up, you kind of go like, either you're them or you're not them. Like, okay, well she likes this, and so I like this.
Yes.
Or like, if that's yours, then this is mine. And if you didn't have a sister, or if you had like two sisters, you would end up having like, you wouldn't have this dialectic. You wouldn't have like this, you know. And I found that often, like I was like kind of in my life, I would often just like be trying to, there's no point in doing, you know.
You had a brother. You had a brother.
I had a brother. Yeah. Just trying to cut up who you are based on like one other person or on you know, either or and all this. And I just kind of like, I don't know. I just kind of like, I don't know. There's a lot of I don't know. There's a lot of stuff in that title that I don't really understand, but I thought it fit, and whenever I thought, whatever angle I held it in the light, it would always make sense, and it would always seem to like help explain the songs.
You conjured the title, right? You didn't borrow it from something.
No, I don't unless somebody slipped it in, you know, in my subconscious. I kind of just thought it was like the right term, you know. Kind of there's like a kind of resolution to it, you know, that it's you know.
It did obviously. It made me think of the again the novel Two Solitudes, or the notion of two solitudes, I guess, which I believe has something to do with communication or a lack of communication or something like that.
Yeah, but there's also other people that talk about it. Like there's Real K, and I don't even know if that's how you say his name. You know, that like that love should be like the meeting of like two solitudes that greet each other.
Yeah.
You know, and there's all this. It's like not positive, and it's kind of like how it is. Like everybody's alone, not in like the you die alone kind of thing, but everybody's their own person, and there's kind of this. Every communication is kind of like this, is this twin thing, and so it just kind of I try not to overthink.
Yes, yeah,
things,
sorry, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
No, but because whenever you try to explain it, you end up going back to that it just never comes out the same as when you just say it with all its open possibilities.
Yeah.
I wasn't like trying to be like, this is exactly what I mean, and devoid of other meanings. I just kind of want to let it kind of breathe on its own. And whenever I think about the title, it kind of like lets me, think about whatever I want to think about. I feel like it's nice when the title frees you up to think about your own shit.
Totally. No.
Yeah, I think hopefully, not to sound like I'm full of BS, which I am, but but just hopefully not as particularly now.
Yeah. Well, the record's a gorgeous one, and I appreciate the fact that you went through it with me this way. I hope this was helpful or useful for you in some way.
It's always frightening talking about my own songs because I'm always. It's very strange opening them up. It's like visiting the patients that a couple years down the road.
Yeah.
And you're like I wonder, did they make it? Did I botch that? Did I botch that job?
Well, I mean, it's just my interpretation of your work. I hope I didn't offend you.
Not at all.
No, yeah, okay.
Oh, no, not at all. No. I always just get squeamish when I talk about my own songs, but I felt like it went relatively well, actually.
Relatively well? I'm insulted. Yeah. I thought it went extremely well. This is an outrage.
I meant my answers.
Oh, no, your answers were great. Your answers were fine.
You're fantastic.
No. Thank you very much. That's all I was hoping you would say. You mentioned earlier that you are recording a new record, I think. What are you referring to? You're obviously hard at work on a new album. Is that what you were referring to?
Yeah, that's why I'm so tired. I'm a little brain dead. I've been recording for the past week. I don't know what I was thinking. I was like, I had 1 week off this summer, and I was like, well, I better record.
And is there any kind of continuity between the sound and configuration of this record and the new one?
You know what? I thought there was, and now I think there isn't.
Is it the same players?
I don't know yet. Everything's kind of shifting.
Oh, I see.
Everything's very new and confusing. So,
okay.
We'll see.
But this record, it was a departure for you in some major way, wasn't it? In terms of how you approached songwriting and sounds and stuff like that.
Yeah, well, it was the first time that I was like, I'm gonna produce this actually, and I was like, I'm gonna make sure I knew what sound I wanted. I literally bought the bass drum I wanted to use for the record, and I knew that I wanted a ribbon mics on the piano, and I knew like everything, like I knew what sound I wanted, and I felt like we got it, which was really exciting. Mm-hmm. To like the sound in my mind became the sound on the records. For the first time, what I was hearing in my head is what is, on the record.
Yeah, and that's amazing, but probably also frustrating because you got to chase that thing again. You got to chase that thing.
And it's exactly that. And it becomes this thing where I'm like, I was a bit emboldened because I was like, okay, I know how to get the sound in my head, but the sound in my head changed. So I know how to get the sound that I used to hear, but I don't know how to get the new sound. Right. And so actually, this week was a bit frustrating. Right. So I think I'm just gonna. It's gonna be a different. It's gonna be different.
Okay, no, that's fair, and I don't expect you to have too much to say about it at this early stage in the process. But I'm gratified to know that you're already working on new stuff because this is a stunning record, and I appreciate the time you take to talk about it with me. Where can people learn more about you on the computers and their phones?
Oh, well, probably the best resource would be to text my mom. She knows the most about me.
Okay, and what is your mother's phone number?
613.
Yep.
889. Oh wait, I guess I'm blanking. I'll text it.
That was convenient. A convenient lapse. No, is there? What do you got? A website and stuff?
Yeah, website. I got my name, my complicated name, Leif Vollebekk, LeifVollebekk.com. It basically just says all my shows because that's where you'll find out about me.
And you're on Twitter and Facebook and.
I'm on Twitter and Facebook, the whole shebang.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so people can go there. Is there a song we've been talking about the record and playing clips from the various songs we've been discussing, but is there a song in its entirety that we can play for people right now from Twin Solitude, Leif?
Is there one that you want to hear? For me, like they're all my babies.
Well, as I mentioned earlier, I was particularly effusive of the song Elegy.
Let's do that one. That sounds perfect to me.
Are you okay with that one being representative of the record?
I think it is. It's the one that was the hardest to get, and the one that I think I'm really happy with, for sure. Also, I love the string players on them too. So
yeah, and it reminds me of the Jizz Lizard because they had a song called Elegy.
They did?
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. But it doesn't sound like this one at all.
Yeah. I never Google, if I write something, I never Google titles because I don't want to find out what, in the internet age, it's so easy to be like, oh, it's been taken, or it's this, or it's that. So I try to stay ignorant. And I'm very good at staying ignorant, like Sir John Nepean,
Just a heads up, the title East of Eden has been taken a couple times now.
Get out now. Get out.
This is a beautiful, beautiful song called Elegy from Twin Solitude by Leif Vollebekk. Leif, thank you so much for being on my show and going through your record, and I wish you the best of luck with everything you do from this point forward.
Thank you so much.
Minor chords and major arcana, little leather jacket and a black bandana, kicking over trash cans and telling jokes in Atlanta. When I got the fever, it hit me like a fan on the back of my hand. I don't know who I am, but I'm free for nothing, good for nothing too. Crazy to dream, still crazy about you. Won't you let me in one more time, babe? I wanna feel it too. Well, nothing is a lie, babe, if you know it ain't true. Take a look at me now. Take a look at me now. Reparations now coming my way. Dues I've recollected that I never paid. In the stained glass windows, babe, I feel the presence, oh yeah. But that don't mean I'm done with repentance, oh no. Gonna find another way to climb out of this basement. Gonna find out what that smile on your face meant. Like a thief that you borrow, baby, take a hold of me, take flight. And I wanna do your bidding, babe, I wanna steal away in the night. Take a look at me now. Take a look at me now. Heart's on fire, so is the page. Everybody around here's telling me to act my age. I'm trying. Things are only revealed in the light that is given. Oh, to be free from the pardon when all else is forgiven. Rain outside's blowing in the curtains. Nothing is revealed, but nothing is for certain. As I recall, you was drinking from the sanctuary wine. Well, don't worry, baby, we'll find all of our lost time. Take a look at me now. Take a look at me now. As I recall, you was standing there, you was holding your rosary beads. Ooh. Everyone around here seems to think he knows what he means. Ooh. 7 ugly reasons kept me away from you then. Ooh. Nothing is much weaker than the resolve of most men. I remember when we was alone in your room, Staring out your window, we knew you'd be going soon. And I was so young, babe, I hope that you knew that I meant well. And when I looked in your eyes, I thought I knew you could tell. Now I'm blown back from the cemetery gates. You who I love dearly, now I must wait to be reunited in the sky when it opens. Well, my feet are so tired, baby, but my spirit ain't broken. Take a look at me now. Take a look at me now.
That was Elegy, my favorite song from this beautiful record by Leif Vollebekk. It's called Twin Solitude. Thank you very much to Leif for spending so much time with me and discussing each and every song. I enjoyed that one. I hope you did too. I think Leif did. We talked about Bob Dylan and a bunch of other stuff. It was cool. I enjoyed it. It was fun. Thank you, Leif. This is the 344th episode of Creative Control, a podcast available on such platforms as iTunes, Audio Boom, Google Play, Stitcher, TuneIn, Overcast, and many others. If you can't find everything you're looking for, visit my website, vishkhanna.com, where every single episode is definitely accessible on my website, vishkhanna.com. You can learn more about me there as well. Like Creative Control with Vish Khanna on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter at Vish Creative, or follow me at Vish Khanna. And you can listen to a version of this program, which is sometimes the normal podcast and sometimes just a freeform radio show, every Wednesday at noon Eastern Standard Time. Around the world, you can stream the show at cfru.ca, or if you're in the Kitchener-Waterloo area, 93.3 FM. Also, visit patreon.com/Creative Control to make a flexible monthly donation to keep the podcast going. And for your efforts, I will send you a t-shirt while supplies last. This episode would not be possible without our sponsors, Pizza Trocadero, whom you can call for pickup or delivery at 519-829-2444, or check them out at trocaderoguelph.ca. The Bookshelf, an independently owned bookstore, bar, music venue, and movie theater located at 41 Quebec Street in Guelph. Learn more about them at bookshelf.ca. Planet Bean, freshly roasted, fair trade, certified organic coffee. For more information, visit planetbeancoffee.com. And Granddad's Donuts, located at 574 James Street North in Hamilton, Ontario. Best donuts anywhere. Visit granddads.ca for more information about those things. All right, that's it for another in-depth album analysis. I think there's more to come if all goes well. I'm trying to go through as many of the Polaris Music Prize shortlisters as I can, and maybe some other records too. I'm kind of enjoying this, and I think the artists are really enjoying it too. So that's what might be coming up. Again, please feel free to rate, review, download episodes of the podcast, but definitely rate and review and subscribe to it on all the aforementioned podcast platforms. All that kind of stuff helps. And yeah, that's it. I got nothing else. I will talk to you soon. Goodbye for now.